A chance encounter. Dane Renshaw didn't consider himself the heroic type. He was just a low-level engineer assigned to the trade routes in the deep reaches of the Zion sector. His mission was routine: checking docking systems, monitoring fuel levels, troubleshooting NAV panels for merchant vessels. But deep space always had surprises waiting, especially on the outer edge of known space. One cold, silent shift, Dane spotted something odd on his ship's sensors. A distress signal, weak and fading, but unmistakably close. Against regulations, he adjusted his course and homed in on the source. Floating in the abyss, with nothing but a flickering distress beacon, was a small pod. It looked battered, as if it had been drifting for months, maybe years. He secured the pod in his cargo bay, half expecting it to be empty or worse, a pirate's trap. But when he opened the pod, his heart stopped. A young alien girl lay slumped inside, her thin, silvery arms wrapped around her knees. Her skin was a pale blue, almost translucent under the cargo bay lights, and her face was gaunt, cheekbones pronounced and hollowed. Dane had seen all sorts of aliens, but this girl's species wasn't in any database. Yet one thing was obvious: she was starving. She barely managed to open her eyes, weakly reaching out a hand. Dane, on instinct, extended his own, wrapping her icy fingers in his warmth. "Help, please," she whispered. He didn't think twice. Dane scooped her up in his arms and brought her to the medical bay, gently feeding her water and bits of food rations, each one making her shudder with gratitude. Over the next few hours, she grew stronger, and he finally learned her name: Kaelya. The bond. Days turned to weeks, and Kaelya's health improved. She was intelligent, curious, and had a wit Dane hadn't expected. She'd been a scout from a distant star cluster, exploring uncharted territories when her ship had malfunctioned and left her adrift. As he nursed her back to health, Dane and Kaelya spent long hours talking. Despite their differences, they shared an understanding of isolation and a yearning for connection. She revealed glimpses of her life, her home, a world bright with sapphire skies, forests of luminescent crystals, and vast, endless oceans. In turn, Dane told her about Earth and its vibrant people. During one quiet evening, Dane prepared a humble meal, their shared rations transformed into a feast of dried vegetables and spiced protein packs. Kaelya accepted the meal, her hands cupping his as he passed the dish to her. Her eyes glistened with an emotion he couldn't place. "On my world," she murmured almost shyly, "sharing food like this is a deep sign of trust. A bond even—" Dane laughed, brushing it off. "Well, it's only right. You've been through so much. You deserve every kindness we can offer out here." But Kaelya didn't look away. "To me, it's more than that, Dane. You saved me. And not just my body, my spirit." He felt a warmth bloom in his chest, but he brushed it off. Surely it was gratitude, or perhaps the loneliness of space, making him feel this way. Yet her presence lingered with him, a constant reminder that he was not alone. The proposal. A month later, Kaelya was finally strong enough to continue her journey. She was due to return to her people, to report back and leave Dane's life forever. Yet as they stood in the airlock, Kaelya turned to him, her hands trembling as they reached for his. "In my culture," she began softly, her voice wavering, "when one saves another's life, it's believed their souls are intertwined, bound beyond time or distance." Dane swallowed hard, trying to ignore the ache building in his chest. He wanted to say something, anything to ease the sadness in her eyes, but no words came. And Kaelya continued, "If that bond is accepted, it often means marriage." Dane's heart stuttered. "Wait, marriage?" he stammered, eyes widening. "Yes," Kaelya replied, her voice soft but resolute. "It is a custom, but it means more than tradition. I feel the connection with you, Dane, deeper than words can say. I don't want to leave if you would have me." A quiet settled over them, broken only by the hum of the ship. Dane found himself looking at her, truly seeing her. The girl he'd rescued, the one who had become more than a friend, the one who had somehow bridged the gap between stars and species in a way that defied reason. "Yes," he whispered, reaching for her hands. "Yes, Kaelya, I would." A new journey, They were married in the quiet of space, under the glittering glow of the stars that had brought them together. There were no witnesses, no grand celebration, but they didn't need any. In the empty depths of space, Dane and Kaelya had found each other, a connection forged in loneliness, bound by survival, and sealed with love. From that day forward, they traveled together, exploring new worlds, facing unknown dangers, and sharing meals that Kaelya crafted with an artistry he had come to cherish. And though their journey was just beginning, Dane knew one thing for certain. He would never be alone again. Together, they had defied the universe and found each other, two souls bound by hunger, by hope, and by the promise of a life they would build side by side.